Day on a Friday. It is December 20th, 2019. Hope you've done your Christmas shopping. If not, then hey, I mean, you got this weekend to get it done. But I help injury victims across the state of Texas receive the care and compensation they deserve when they're injured by the negligence, carelessness, or recklessness of a business entity, principally a motor carrier, or someone else. So, if you are in a personal injury situation, or you are injured in a car accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, bicycle accident, pedestrian accident, but mostly a truck accident, more than likely a truck accident, give me a call at 713-766-3322. That's 713-766-3322. That's if you're in the Houston area. If you are in the San Antonio, Texas area, you can call me at 210-504-5464. That's 210-504-5464. If you are not within the Houston area or the San Antonio area, you can call me at 1-800-688-7551. That's 1-800-688-7551. So, what's been going on with me? I haven't been in the office as of late, or at least on the live stream for quite some time. And it's largely because I have been working diligently on trying to set up these different offices, or satellite offices across the great state of Texas. And it's just been a lot of work. You see, I'm kind of dressed down. It's Friday. It's the holiday weekend. I got to pick my kids up from school a little early. So, I'm going to just dress down today. Excuse me if, that's a problem. I do have a consultation today for another car accident, but I'm not going to stress out over that too much. I mean, it's just, I've already talked to the potential client. I've already kind of told them to expect, and we're just going to sign a few forms, and then we'll work the case up from there. It's a really good case too. I'm really excited about it. Not in the sense that the person was like seriously injured, but just the facts of it let me know that I'm going to really probably be able to have some real success with this case as far as helping the client. So, like I said, there's not much going on. I'm really excited about the fact that I have not officially launched this website yet, because I have to have it cleared through the state bar and everything, so I'm still working on it. I haven't injected any video, and I haven't cleaned up the materials as far as like the guides and stuff like that, the books and everything. But San Antonio Truck Accident Lawyer, like I said, the main frame of it is up. Now I still have a lot of work to do on Houston Truck Accident Lawyer. I have a lot of work to do on San Antonio Truck Accident Lawyer. But like I said, the main frame of it is up, so I'm pretty excited about that. And the thing that I guess that really surprised me the most was that it only took me probably 2 weeks to put that website together, whereas the original one, the Houston Truck Accident Lawyer, it took me about 3.5 months. So I think the next two offices that I'm going to try to open after I can officially launch this San Antonio office, because I still have a lot of red tape to go through, with the office, getting the office set up down there, and dealing with the state bar as far as like, jumping through all the hurdles that they make you go through to get something going. Yeah, keep that thumb on the small businessman. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So I'm gonna get that going, and there are two other offices that I'm trying to open. They won't open by the end of the year, of course. But I'm trying to get an office set up in Austin, and I'm trying to get one set up in Fort Worth, and hopefully I can do that. Hopefully I can do that by the end of January is the expected goal. I think I can build those two websites out within a month's time. And I know a lot of people will say, well, hey, why don't you just have someone else do this work for you? Why are you trying to build out websites and stuff like that? But I mean, the number one thing is, I've already kind of looked into that, and I started building websites, when I came out of law school. The first one that I think I got cut off, it says I had a poor connection. So I was in the middle of talking about how I got started as far as my websites and whatnot. The reality of it is, like I said, I started building websites as soon as I came out of law school. I felt it was a much better way to try to attract the type of clientele that I was looking for. Some of my friends were more of the idea that it makes sense to be a general practitioner and just kind of have a scattershot approach to whatever comes through the door. And initially I tried that. I think if you're a young entrepreneur or if you're a beginning budding attorney, you have to just kind of open the door up and say, hey, let's see what'll walk in and take whatever you can. But you kind of get to the point eventually where it's like, okay, I gotta specialize in something. I mean, I gotta find what makes me happy, because trying to do a bit of everything, trying to do a bit of everything is maddening, especially if it's just you by yourself. If you're trying to do a criminal case and then you run out of court to go back to the office and do a real estate case, and then you have to go back and do a divorce or a custody issue, to me, like I said, maybe my brain works differently than most folks, but I just think like that's a bit stressful. You have to pay for CLEs and stuff like that to become like the best that you possibly can in your profession. Like for yourself, you have to become the best version of yourself. And when you are having to do all this, you're scattering yourself around. It becomes much harder to manage than to nail yourself down to maybe 2-3 areas at the max and say, hey, these are my areas. This is what I do. I'm really good at it. You get these type of cases, send them to me. If these type of cases if this stuff comes to me, I'm going to send it to somebody else, because I don't do that. And so that's what I do. I mean, I pretty much, cases will come to me, and if it's something that I don't do, I'm just going to say, hey, I don't do that, but I know somebody who does, and here you are. This is the person that you need to go to. And that's the best way to kind of practice, in my opinion. Other people differ. They do what they want, they do what they need, but that's how I look at things. But I started building websites, and right now I'm still testing out this streaming thing. This is a very new thing for me. So apologize for like the weird angle that I'm sitting at and stuff like that, and the fact that I'm not just like talking into the camera all the time, because I'm still kind of looking at the screen and trying to monitor everything and make sure it works as I kind of do all this. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I started building these websites a few years ago, and like I said, to me it was just a much more directed way to get the specific type of client that you need, especially if you're a young attorney. No one's gonna come out, like if you come out of law school, unless you have like a family member or a close friend that's injured or something like that. No one's gonna come to you and say, hey, yeah, I got this bus death case, or this 18-wheeler truck just ran me over, or my sister or somebody, and I need somebody to represent me. No one's gonna come to you with that case until you have built up the proper background and experience to be able to handle something like that. Not unless they know you. So what that made me realize is that what you have to do, and no matter what area it really is, you have to kind of nail down. You have to drill down into a specific area that you enjoy. And so that's what I did. I didn't mean for this to turn into like some type of review session or whatnot, but I'm just talking about my own experiences, and I didn't really have anything planned today. I did briefly want to talk about the mercury spill that happened in West Houston. I didn't want to go too deep into it, but I'm trying to start this association of Texas Association of Hazardous Materials Attorneys, and this organization is grounded around the idea that we need to do more to protect the environment, because we only get one, and we need to protect each other and other human beings from hazardous materials like spills and explosions and stuff like that, because these things can be very detrimental to society, and the effects of hazardous material spills can be very long lasting, in our environment. So what happened here in Houston? I guess it was probably about 2 or 3 days ago. I haven't really. I wanted to talk about it that day, but I didn't because I just, like I said, I was bogged down into my San Antonio truck accident.lawyer website and trying to build that out. But what happened was basically that a 19-year-old father of two somehow, got his hands on like 11 pounds of mercury. This is according to one of the local news channels. He got his hands on 11 pounds of mercury, and he went. I guess he bought it from he stole it from like an engineering firm or from someplace around here that has it in large bundles. Apparently, now mercury, is highly toxic, and I believe it's a neurotoxin. I believe. So this guy steals his 11 pounds of mercury, and he goes outside of a Walmart of all places and starts selling it by the pints or something to people for $20. And the thing is, he's just apparently just dropping it all over the ground outside of the Walmart and God knows wherever else he went, walking around trying to sell it. And so, the hazmat teams come out and everything, and they initially they reported that like 64,000 gallons. And that's what had caught my eye initially, was that they said like a truck had spilled 64,000 gallons of mercury or something on the road or something. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like that would be like crazy. So eventually they said no. The firefighters said no, that's not exactly what happened. This guy, or they only spilled. There was only like 3 pints spilled of mercury or whatnot. And then I was listening to NPR later that day with my daughter, and they were like, it was less than a pint that was spilled. But then the mayor's office or somebody else came out later and said that this guy had this mercury out there in Walmart and had spilled it all in front of the Walmart. And then they said he spilled it in front of Sonic in West Houston and some other place. Then they turned around and said, okay, well, actually, he might have spilled it in a lot more places besides that, including the inside of the Walmart itself. So, like, about 60 people were decontaminated, sprayed down, whatever, when it came to making sure that they weren't contaminated with it. And they were sending out things saying, hey, if you're having nausea and all these other symptoms, you need to go to the hospital because potentially, you've come into contact with, hazardous material. So, like I said, it just was something in the news. I think it initially started off as a truck spill. That's what they were saying, I think. And that's what kind of caught my attention. But it just kind of, like I said, underscores the fact that we have to do more to protect the environment, because Houston is a bustling city. And, Texas in general, we are a very a capital-driven state, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we also have to keep in mind that we have to leave something for the next generation to stand on as well. We can't just be so caught up in the profit of everything that we're willing to just kind of destroy the environment and the living conditions for the future generations. So, like I said, what I'm going to probably do in the next year is I'll build out that website. Or that one, I probably won't build that one out. I probably will actually hire someone to build that one out because I'm not worried about the content of that one. So I will probably have someone else build that one out. Very basic. And see if we can try to start holding some type of meetings, with other attorneys who are focused on environmental issues. As well. I don't really know what you can do to protect the environment, other than maybe when you are dealing with a truck accident case and there's a hazardous material spill, you possibly can look into the types of ways that the contents were stored. So if they weren't properly stored, that's something that you probably can write into the settlement demand, or have some type of agreement with the trucking company that they will agree to store the materials in, the most efficient way possible or the safest way possible, so that these types of things don't happen in the future. Because, the environment is just as important as we are. There's no doubt about that. And it's just we need to do more on those lines. So, Tama, .us is the name of that website. It's a mess. It's not even anywhere near completed. But that is going to be the website that I will launch, that Texas Association of Hazardous Materials Attorneys in the near future, or in 2020. Like I said, beyond that, San Antonio Truck Accident Lawyer is up, but it's not completed, and I need to submit that to the bar so they can approve that. And the next two websites that I'll be working on in January will be Austin Truck Accident Lawyer and Fort Worth Truck Accident Lawyer, because I'm going to set up an office in both of those cities as well. Hopefully, the goal is by the end of the year. It's so unprofessional, but it's Friday. Deal with it. The goal is by the end of 2020 to have at least 6 different offices set up across the state of Texas. That's my goal for myself in 2020, and it's definitely feasible. I mean, it's definitely possible. So I'm looking forward to expanding beyond just Houston and into Austin, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Laredo, and El Paso. And if we can get the other ones, Corpus Christi and all the rest in there as well, that would be great. But that's the plan. So I think that's it for right now. It's 12:47. Like I said, I gotta pick these kids up early from school today, and I already sent off some paperwork that my client needed. I think I'm gonna make one more phone call and see if I can close out this case before the holiday season, officially holiday season. And let me see. That's it. And see, like I said, with this streaming stuff, I'm really just trying to make sure it all works, because this camera is really finicky. I'm gonna have a 1080p live stream in here starting in 2020 with the main camera, and that's one reason why I'm always looking this way, because I have my main camera is set up right here in front of me. So I'm gonna get that live stream up and running in the office with that camera in the near future. I still have to make those. I still have like 500 videos I have to make to inject into the Houston Truck Accident Lawyer website, but I'll get it done over the holiday break, or whenever I get a chance. And I'll be starting my CDL permit. That should be entertaining. Now I'm going to use this camera probably to capture some of those moments, but I'll be starting my CDL truck permit, if not in January, probably no later than March. But I'm going to try to get it done in January, because the problem with the CDL permit is this: you can go to truck driving school for a month and a half down here if you go to community college and get it done. But the problem is you're going to go to school from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. every single day for that 45-day period. And I just don't have that type of time. I mean, I would love to do it if I could just say, hey, I'm going to just put everything else to the side and go over here and, learn how to drive this truck for about 45 days. But I'm not going to be able to do that, because I still have to go to court some days in between all of that. So the other programs that they offer are one that's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, something like that. And it's like 3.5 months long though. Like, so if I start like January, I won't finish it until like March 15th, maybe, or somewhere right when spring break begins and ends. What's going on, Nonsense from Twitch? I see you on there. Yeah, so the other class is like the CDL class is like Monday through Friday, and it's a nighttime class, and it's like 5 to 10. And so that's the same thing, is that if you go to that class for the CDL permit, it also is not going to end until like the middle of March, end of March, something like that. I'm like you're going to go for like a 3 month period, 3 months strong, You know what I mean? Like having to show up every single day to learn how to drive a truck. I mean, that's kind of hard. But, you know, depending on what you do, it could be worth it. Because I think Amazon is paying people $90,000 a year right now to drive their 18-wheelers. And that's pretty decent money. I mean, you know, like, I don't know of too many other, you know, occupations where you can go out here and get a CDL within, like, you know, a month and a half time, you know, and then turn around and be making, you know, $90,000, you know, in probably, what, 6-7 months, probably, I would think. You probably have to go somewhere else and drive for a while before you could jump in with them, but you never know. You know, I mean, if you got the right connections, because from what I've heard, the trucking companies actually come out there to the CDL classes and try to hire you on while you're in the classes and stuff. So, you know, it's interesting. For me, you know, like I said, it's just the experience. I want to be able to have the CDL. I want to be able to know exactly what people have to go through to get it. And it's just a good idea to know how to drive a truck. I mean, why not? You know, it's just something else, another skill. And, you know, I always thought that, you know, education ends one day, like someday, like you stop learning and you can just kind of go on and live your life. But it seems like that's not the case. I mean, it's like you are in a constant state of learning all the time. I mean, I feel like largely because, I mean, we're just in a society now that is changing. I mean, you know, we live in a society that is constantly moving. I mean, everything is evolving right now, so it's going to be hard for you to turn around and say, you know, okay, no more learning for me. You know, I don't want to learn anymore. Like, you're not going to be able to do that, like, no time soon. So, you know, but I think that's the last thing for me. I went to a truck accident conference. I went to 2 actually in the past few months, and there were 2 things that really stuck out in my mind. Joe Freed said at the beginning of the truck accident conference in the American Truck Accident Attorney Conference in Nashville, he said, if you want to do this, you know, you may have to expand out into other cities. You may have to expand out into other states, you know, because the thing about truck accidents is that they don't really, outside of maybe Houston and a few other cities, they don't occur with the same frequency, you know, that they do in other places. So, like, if you live in Indiana, I mean, you know, I don't know anything about Indiana really, but I mean, I can imagine there probably not as many truck accidents in Indiana as there are in, you know, Houston, San Antonio, or whatever. So if you live in a smaller city, you definitely have to look at, you know, going out into a bigger field or a bigger area. And that's the same thing, I think, with Houston. See, the thing that people don't understand with Houston is that it's highly competitive. I mean, like, you know, this is a huge city, but if you were to, like, Google Houston car accident lawyer and just scroll down through the number of attorneys here that practice car accident law, I mean, you know, Google will show you a list of probably at least 20 different pages with at least 10 to 20 lawyers on each page. That's how competitive it is in a market like this. You know, so even though, you know, you might live in a big city, you still have to work hard, you know, or probably even harder to exist in a place like this. If you were to go to a smaller city, you know, there are going to be way fewer attorneys. You know, sometimes I Google these, like, really out of the way cities, you know, and I'm just amazed, like, it's hardly no attorneys in that area. And a few of them, you know, what they'll do is they'll practice criminal law, and they'll say, hey, yeah, I do personal injury too. So if somebody comes in with a personal injury case, they'll call somebody from Houston to come out there and help them with the case if they don't actually do that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, chalk it up. It's a learning experience. But that was the first thing. So the first thing was that, like I said, the first thing was that Joe Freed said basically, like, you gotta look around and you got to expand. You know, if you want to do this, you got to expand. Um, and so I took that and ran with it, and that's why I said that, you know, I'm trying to go out here to these other cities and do exactly what he said. The other thing was, I can't remember. I ramble so much. I'm here talking to myself. I guess it must have not stood out that much then if I can't remember it. But no, I'm trying to remember because I went to both of those conferences, and there was really so many. There was so many good things that were said. Yeah, the other thing was about, I think, the CDL permit, and just, you know, like Andy Young, who is like a top-notch truck accident lawyer. He said that, you know, in one of in the same conference, but in like they had like an introductory type of meeting for like younger truck accident attorneys, because, you know, I think I'm old. I mean, I'm 40 years old. Yeah, I just turned 40 this year. I think I'm pretty old. But when you go there and you meet these other attorneys, you know, these guys, you know, they're way more seasoned than you are. You know what I mean? And what you notice too is that there are attorneys. I mean, like, so they had this meeting ground, or like meeting space. What would you call it? A little breakout session for new truck accident lawyers. And so you go in there, and, you know, there are much older attorneys who are just now really getting into truck accident law. And so they were asking us like questions about, you know, like, what does this stand for? What does this mean? What does this mean? And I was realizing that, you know, like, a lot of these guys don't seem to even know, you know, like, a lot of this stuff. I mean, like, they're just really, really getting into it. And I had already been kind of making videos and reading up on this stuff for a while now, because I already have, you know, a case or two, that commercial wreck case. And it's just, like I say, it's an interesting area, but they just kind of really drove home the idea that if you really want to do this, you got to dive into it. And Andy Young was talking about, hey, you got to get your CDL permit. You know, get your CDL permit, so you have to see what people have to go through to really, you know, understand this industry. And, you know, I can see where he's coming from, because I feel the same way. Like, people look at it like it's a dumb idea. I think a lot of people do. But for me, if I want to really get into an industry or do something, I want to understand it at its very basic structure. You know what I mean? Like when I make a website, I will include a road section, and I know for the most part, I'm the first person to really ever do that in Houston. Like, I've seen some people mimic it, but I saw one of the attorneys down here. He put together like a map of like the most dangerous places in Houston, or one of them put together like a Google map of, like, you know, where accidents happen. But to actually name out the roads and list them on your site, you know, like, that's how particular you kind of have to be when you want to come practice an area like this, because it is a very nuanced area. Like, if you don't understand trucking and you don't understand the industry, because there are industry practices and industry standards that are not necessarily written down anywhere. Like, you only really understand that stuff if you are involved in the industry. And it's probably like that for everything, you know what I mean? Like, whether you practice cannabis law or whether you do family law or whatever, you know what I mean? But anytime you're dealing with a business, you know, because that's essentially what truck accident law is. That's what makes it so much different than like car accidents, because a car accident is just, you know, you driving in the car, someone else hits you in their car. You know, like I keep saying before, like, truck accidents are different because, you know, this person they're like doing their job, like they're on the road because, like, this is their business to transport goods up and down the road. So if you don't really understand, you know, what they're supposed to be doing, you know, the hours of service, how they're supposed to be checking up on the vehicle, when they're supposed to do that, when they're supposed to stop, when they're supposed to take breaks, rest, you know, what are they supposed to abide by when it comes to signing someone up as a driver for that motor carrier, you know, broker shipping standard. If you don't understand all that, then you can't really grasp truck accidents. I mean, you know, so I don't know, man. I'm just in here rambling today for like 30 minutes. about nothing. But on Twitch, this is called the just chatting area. So, I guess that's not such a